Appreciated the way the group worked this spring, and I enjoyed, and I think it was important for all of us coaches to get to know this team, and I think that's begun. We're certainly not. There's still a lot of getting to know them and get a feel for who they are, but it was fun this spring being with this group of guys, and today, anytime you have this type of format, you're going to see some good and some bad on each play, and thought some guys took advantage of the opportunity to play, and it was good. We're done with, as you go through it, you've got 4 phases to get ready for a season, and winter conditioning, spring ball, we're done with those, and we got to finish up in school, and 1 more week in the weight room, and then guys will, after finals, we'll go home and come back. We've got to have a great summer and a great fall camp so we can be as ready as we can for this season.
Paul, I think you were asked just past the midway point in the spring about Robbie Wright, and he was out at the time, and you said it's not that he wants to be out, but since he's come back and with what he showed today, do you expect him to be able to give you another playmaker, whether it's, no matter where it is, just someone to be able to make some plays for you?
Yeah, we need it. Hopefully Rob can take this and gain some confidence from it, and perfect example, I think, of a guy that wants to but needs to have a great summer, and I thought Reggie Love was making progress towards the end of spring practice, and wasn't able to go yesterday and today, but there was a group there. Thought Alex Erickson has been consistent, and appreciate and feel like I know what he can bring, but as a group there's still some question marks, and yet I think there's some guys that have shown the ability to be significant contributors, and that's I think a great illustration group-wise of if they can take advantage of the summer and then lead into fall camp with it. Because if we're going to be any good, we've got to get some production at that position.
Okay. Paul, how big of a concern is the depth on the offensive line right now?
I mean, you saw the game. We're not nearly where we want to be. Now, I think there's some guys that have grown and done some good things, but right now we don't have the depth that maybe we'd like to have, but we've got guys that I think did a lot of things this spring and learned, and I think they grew. I think one thing that, as we're going through it, not a lot of continuity, a lot of shuffling, and that's hard on an offensive line. So I think we've just got to learn from what they did this spring, and it'll be better.
Jesse?
Corey sitting out obviously gave Dare and Taiwan an opportunity to get several carries. What did you think of their performance, and did each show kind of what they're capable of doing?
I think so. I think that thought Taiwan, to me, had a couple runs where he showed really good patience and his vision, and as he gets more comfortable with the offense and maybe with himself too, that'll help. I thought overall, I think he had a really good spring, from where he started to how he finished, and Dare's a guy that's been around it, a little bit more mature, guy that I think can contribute in a number of different ways, and certainly had a couple big runs today and did some good things. So I think we might have started to develop some depth there. I thought that Corey finished the spring on a high note. Obviously not today, but last couple practices we had where we did a lot of football, he was I think he was at his best, and so we've got to just keep. I think you can take that, especially on the offensive side. Did some things, but we've got to nowhere near where we want to be, and we've got to grow.
Jeff?
Oh, you mentioned about getting to know this team. I'm just curious about what you learned about all your quarterbacks in the spring, and what you want to see from them when they, obviously through the summer, but when they come back for camp, where they need to be based on where they are today.
Yeah, I think Joel, certainly, and you guys know this, he's played a lot of football. I think that he still needs to continue to learn this offense, and there's the trust factor of trusting himself within the offense, and I think the lack of continuity at the receiver position, we've got to develop that. I think Summer, that is one area that he can spend a lot of time with them and build that. I thought Bart showed in some of the scrimmage type situations. I think his strength is he goes out and just competes, and there's areas that he needs to clean up, but I was impressed with that. DJ, today was a little bit of a glimpse, and many of you were there. I think it was last Sunday when it's live. That's a pretty good thing for him, and yet I think as he learns and understands the balance of when you're scrambling, pulling the ball down, versus maybe hitting a check down on that young player, and yeah, I really liked his approach to it all, and like young players, had some ups and downs. I thought Alex Hornibrook overall had a good spring for his first spring, and that's a tough day on all of them when you're with the twos going against the ones. Lived that in a number of different ways, and it was fun to see Austin come in and compete today, and so it's a group that, like I said earlier, I forget which group we were talking about, but did some good things, and I think we do know them a little bit more, so you take the offense and you make sure that it plays to the strengths of our players, and find a way this summer and fall camp to keep getting them to grow and develop them.
You talked about the receivers and the quarterbacks, but in general, do you see the makings of a more effective passing game?
I think we can be pretty good throwing the ball, but we've got a lot of work to do, and hope is not a method. But I think there are pieces. I think that the tight end position, we've got some guys that can contribute in the throwing game. I think that we'll find a way. We'll get some receivers that'll step up, and I feel good there, and I think our running backs can help us in the passing game. So I believe there's pieces, and we've just got to put them all together, and I do think we can be a team that can be two-dimensional.
Paul, do you know the extent of Caputo's injury today, and do you expect to have Dan Volz back by the fall?
Yeah, Mike just got a little bit of we had a couple guys that, especially Mike, Darius, got a little bit of banged up, and if it was a game, would have been playing. But a couple things. One, they've played a lot of football and want to see some other guys play. And Dan, they anticipate him being back certainly for fall camp.
What are your impressions of your defense, not only today and how it's come along in the spring here?
I think if you look at it, and I was really impressed being around Joe and Vince, our outside linebackers. I really like them as players. I think that Jack Sitchie had a good spring. Jesse Hayes. I think we've got good depth at the outside backer position. I thought the one unknown was coming in was the inside linebacker position, and probably like we were talking about on offense, that we're not really where we want to be. But I liked what Leon and TJ did. I thought that the format of the game and what we were doing offensively played into the fact they should have they should show up today, but they did show up, and I liked seeing that. In the secondary, we've got guys that have played a lot of football. I know got a lot of respect for Mike as a football player, and Tanner. I think it brings a lot to the defense. And at the corner spot, Sojourn and Darius have played a lot of football. I think in the D line, Arthur Goldberg didn't practice last week or so, but I thought he was having a good spring, and Connors, I think, brings some to it, and Alec and Chikwe, I think that we can develop and have some strength in numbers there. So I think that if you look at it right now and assess where we're at, there's certainly fewer question marks on defense. But I think that overall, we got some guys that if we're going to be good, they need to be good, and I think they're capable of being that.